just getting up north here, there's a lot more snow than we were expecting. So hopefully we're able to get in. D was a little bit ahead of me, and hopefully he's not stuck in the snow. There's a lot more than what we expected. We had a few feet since I've been up here, since anybody's been up here, and we have a half a foot coming tonight. So we need to get this all cleaned up before we can even think about maple syruping. But let's see how it's looking down our road, because this is tall. Oh, it's not too shabby. I'm still gonna give her though. Okay, just keep her going. Well, there's D getting all set. I guess he's packing it down a little bit first. There is a lot of snow out here. This is what happens when we don't make it up in between big snowstorms. We've had probably about 2 feet. We've had probably somewhere about 2 to 3 feet of snow since any of us have been up here last, and we have half a foot coming in. So there's D directing traffic. Here's our wood pile right here. You can definitely access that. And then you can barely see D because of all the snow back here. But yeah, taking a look at the tree. I mean, if you can get that depth perception, that's just brutal. So last time D tried to plow, it was so icy that the tractor just spun its wheels. But he got some chains for it, and that needs to happen, because if that doesn't happen today, there's going to be another half a foot to a little bit more coming in a couple hours here, D. You know what's right behind us, right, D?
Yeah.
And then here's the grill. Yeah, this is a significant issue right now, trying to get everything set up to syrup. I mean, it's gonna take a couple days just to get it set up. Anything else to say about that, D? There's like no snow left.
Chains have to work on the tractor.
There's like no snow in the Minneapolis metro right now. You come up here, I mean, we're not much farther north, we're just a lot further east.
It was just north of Medford. Did you see those driveways? Oh,
yeah.
Piles were at the end of all the driveways.
Yeah, it's as soon as you hit that lake effect zone. He's getting the tracks set up, the chains. Without the chains, he ain't going anywhere. He's getting the rest of the chains on. Thing should be able to eat up the ice nice. Throws into the ground. There you go, there you go. Alright, we got the chains on. Now Dean's gonna pull forward a bit. We're gonna see how the chains work. There you go. Too much snow there. All right, well, it looks like it's working, which is step one. I'm gonna check on him because he's looking awfully dangerous by doing this, getting flopped around. I'm gonna go check out the trails with the ATV and see what we gotta work with there. Well, Dee's plowing out the driveway. It's time for us to take a look at the trails, and we're gonna do that with the quad here. Gotta get all of this off of here first. So anybody that has to deal with lots of snow or marshland or anything that's hard to navigate, having tracks on the quad like this is second to none. And up here, it's honestly a necessity. We've used a buddy's UTV before, and I mean, we had issues with going through swampy areas, mud, all of that. So having the tracks on the quad, I mean, that is so much nicer. There we go. Starts right up. Some of those orange tags on the trees, like right there, those are the good trees for tapping, for sugaring. So I need to make a path because this year we used to only have like 12, 16 trees that we'd tap, and now I marked an extra like 50 to 100. I mean, our entire northern 40 up here has thousands of tappable trees. It's just, you know, we're not a huge operation. We can't handle that. But I marked all these new ones to tap, so I need to go around and make a path so we can get through the woods. Because trying to actually get in there and get the trees tapped and get the syrup out of there, the sap out of there, I mean, it's going to be almost impossible unless we have a good path. So that's what we're going to do. Hey, Chris.
Stuck tractor.
You want me to get it taut?
Wow.
That didn't even do it.
That just pulled the fucking pulled the tractor sideways and out. A
that
little
is
torque you hardly were even giving her, you know?
Yeah.
That was awesome.
That is nice. Well, it's day 2, and As you can see, Dee's back out plowing. It's snowing like crazy again here, and we've got a few more inches overnight. I had the deck completely clean yesterday, so you can see we've got a couple inches overnight, and it's not letting up. My paths are pretty much, I mean, from the camera here it looks pretty level again, so I gotta get back out there and do that. What happened this morning?
Blew a hydraulic line on the bucket on the tractor. And we got way too much snow again. We can get out. That's about it.
We purchased a real evaporator for this season. However, we brought it up before these major snowstorms hit, so now it's snowed in. We had a lot of troubles getting it to the deck, but finally we're able to accomplish the goal by using the ATV winch and the bucket of the tractor. We're 3 days in. The snow has just been ridiculous. I just got outside, packed everything down, got our trails back, and now it's above 32 degrees and the sun is shining, so I'm going to tap a couple trees to see if we have any type of flowage going. But it's still cold tonight. It's supposed to get down to almost 0 Fahrenheit, so everything will just freeze quite a ways back up again, but later in the week it's supposed to get nice, so it's time to start tapping some trees. Here's how this works. We have a sap sack holder and these bags. First thing we do is we unhook this. We take the sap holder bag, or the sap bag, bring it through this metal band, flip it over the top. You can hear that in the background. That's all the snow and ice falling off the roof from yesterday. Okay, so you get enough slack, and then we tuck it underneath. Make sure it's nice and tight, otherwise it's going to fall out and you're going to waste all your sap, which is counterintuitive. Alright, we got that tucked under there, so now all the sap actually collects in these bags. They're about 3 gallons. And then we take that holder and I slide it right into place. Kind of have to jiggle with it a little bit. There we go. Get it right in the middle, and then it's good and on. So then you hook this part on the tap, and the tap just pours its sap right into the bag. It's that simple. This tree is going to be our first tap of the season. If you take a look, I gotta bend the camera a bit. You see that hole right there? Here was last year's tap on this tree. And we had one right here was 2 years ago. And then one a little around the corner was 3 years ago, which they pretty much completely seize up or heal up at that 3rd year. But we're gonna do our tap on this side of the tree because we've never touched that side, and you want to keep it about 6 inches away from the last tap that you've done. All we need is our drill, our hammer, and our tap. So it goes right in the tree here. That's where the bag holder hooks on, and then it just runs right out the side. The concern is there's so much snow here that once the snow is gone, this bag holder is going to be so high up in the sky. So I got to actually drill probably right around here. Let's see where our last one was. The last one was right here, and you can see that's like at my knees right now, just because of how much snow we have. So what I'm gonna do is try to match that up to right here. You wanna be up at a little bit of an angle. So then once we do that, we take our tap, put it right up to it, then hammer it in a bit. And it's not running yet, but there's no point in waiting. I'm gonna clear out some of this snow so the bag can actually get there. And there we go. Hook that on, and now we play the waiting game. Day 3. It's a beautiful day out. It was -6 in the morning, and now it's about 33 degrees, so I gotta finish tapping the trees. But I gotta get this chimney onto our evaporator and get the sealant cement onto it so it can start curing essentially and drying before we actually need to use it here. So this is our evaporator. It's just a simple, you know, wood burning stove essentially, and it does have a grate across the top because it's called an evapo grill. It's kind of fancy, but you can barbecue on it in the off season, and there's a big pan that sits on it to you throw the syrup in, or the sap in, and obviously we'll get to that when that occurs. But here is the flue pipe, or the connection to it, and we got to get this chimney onto it. So I've always used the ones that have been in like caulk bottles. So this is new, but this is all that the store had last night, and stores are minimum a half hour away so from where we are, so this is what we get. Okay, I think what I'm gonna do is pop that out. And then seal it like that. Never actually used it with like a putty knife before, so we'll see how this ends up going. Once the bags begin to fill with sap, we need a way to actually get it back to our place so we can use the evaporator, boil it out. How do we get it back here? Well, in the past we used to just use a 5-gallon pail and walk around because we just used the trees in the vicinity. But now that we're going quite a ways out into the 40, D got a 35-gallon tub. So how are we gonna do that? Well, we have this really old junky trailer, like ATV trailer that came with the land. Thing's, you know, pretty beat up. I mean, that tire is shot, but it doesn't really matter because we're just kind of dragging it. And my idea was, well, once we get the tub in the trailer, how do we, you know, just get everything logistically correct here? Well, D left some straps and said, you know, figure it out. And we had a pallet left over from the evaporator, which is going to work perfectly here because I go ahead and put the 35-gallon tub on top of the pallet, which gives us some space. Locked it down with the straps. We'll fill we'll take all the bags and, you know, fill it up here, obviously. And then the wagon tilts, so I can, you know, fill up as much as we need. But as soon as we get to the end, when there's really not much left, I can tilt this, and the pallet gives us enough weight, or enough height, to be able to get all the way to the bucket. And that way, I can fill the buckets, and then bring the bucket to the evaporator. Could I get more fancy and be able to somehow get it to the evaporator? Of course, but, you know, let's stick with this for now. I tapped about 4 more trees, and then I called it a night. Well, it's about midnight here, and I woke up to my oven stinking like leaking propane. So we are going outside to turn off the gas valve to it. But the problem is the gas valve is somewhere underneath all this snow. Actually, I can see it right there. So I just need to shovel a little bit to it, thankfully, because this is where it falls off the roof. And then I'm going to turn that valve off. Well, that one goes to the inside heater, so there's another one that's close by. But I got to turn that off because of obvious reasons. So step number 1 is find the shovel, because I didn't put the shovel back. So that's phenomenal. And the shovel's right there, so that's no big deal. But gotta love it up north. Get all dressed up to have to go outside to do chores in the middle of the night. Okay. It is dark and quiet, and the stars are out. I don't know if you can really see that on the camera here. Probably not. Oh man. I managed to shovel it out, got in there, turned off that knob. It wasn't as brutal as I thought it would be, but there's just so much snow this year. Like, look at it over the I mean, the house here is, geez, we're I don't even know here, probably at almost 6 feet off the ground right here where the deck goes. I mean, when you know, when you stand on the side of this, I have videos of it from when we were building it. You're 6 feet off the ground, and you know, the snow, that's above it. I can't really get the camera to be at that angle, but that's above it. So it's just brutal how much snow we have. I was able to just step over the side, and suddenly I'm in the snow. But we got that turned off, and I don't smell propane anymore. So wonderful. But that needs to we need to figure out what's going on with the stove. I got her a little too toasty in here. All right, we're gonna check this bag right over here, and we're gonna see. That's the one that you watched me put on and explain how we do it. It's 22 degrees Fahrenheit right now. It looks like it. I don't know. Let's check it out. That's a big block of ice. Oh. Yeah, I mean, that's just one big block of ice. I think I'm gonna make some breakfast, and then I suppose I'll check on, you know, some of these other closer ones that we have around, and see what the deal is. See if I can somehow get some of it out. I mean, we have so many that our evaporator holds, I think 30 gallons, and these are 3-gallon bags. And if you looked at that, I mean, that was like more than half full. So, you know, we're talking about at least 1.5 gallons, and I've got 35. I mean, we have more than what the evaporator can actually hold. So if I can somehow get some of the sap out, we can start the process. I just don't know. I don't know how we're gonna do it. Here's the deal. I went out, grabbed 3 of the bags, and turns out that, you know, I was able to get them out, but it is frozen. This is a 5-gallon pail. When that big chunk melts, we're probably talking about 5 gallons for 3 bags. And I mean, I've got 35 bags in the woods. The sun's peeking out a little bit, and it's 26 degrees, so they're actually melting a little bit, but I got the stove really cranked, We're gonna melt this up slowly, and we'll be evaporating. But I think what I'm gonna do right now is try to let the snow, or the sun come out a little bit more, because, I mean, you can kind of see on the camera, it is getting a little bit brighter. I mean, that's what you get in northern Wisconsin. See the clouds? That's what we call the sun out. Okay, but I gotta get the pan in the evaporator and get that going, and we'll be able to start the process. But this is going to be quite annoying to do, but I gotta start it today. It would have been better if I collected it yesterday, but whatever, that's how it goes. All right, that's 4 or 5 gallon buckets almost completely filled. So that's, you know, roughly 20 gallons. It's gonna be a little less than 20 gallons. I probably have closer to 15 in there. They're all frozen, but as you can hear in the background, things are melting. It's 27 degrees outside. So it gives me a little bit of hope that some of the bags are gonna start melting a bit, because what I'm doing right now is literally taking the bags apart, pushing out the ice, and then putting it back together. And it's super time consuming. It's gonna take me hours to do all of them that I have up right now. So I might wait a little bit to see, because right now we have, you know, unfortunately the deck is uneven, but we're probably a quarter of the way filled up in here, which is, this is I think it's a 30 gallon tank. So, you know, we're at 7 gallons or so in there, which, you know, that boils down, you know, 40 to 1 divided by 40. 20 is a half gallon, 10 is a quart. So 5 gallons would be a pint. We're a little over 1 pint right now, which is ridiculous. Those pints, this is what boils down to a pint. So if you go buy a pint from the grocery store, this is literally the amount that it starts with until they evaporate. You know, 97.5% of it. So, you know, I don't quite know the plan yet. I might just take a break for a sec, make sure the fire keeps going good, and we'll go from there. we got 9 buckets in here, and they vary on volume because of the frozen chunks, so I'm guessing it's probably closer to 5.5, 6, somewhere in there. So we're talking about 25 to 30 gallons of the initial sap. Now, you need 40 for it to break down into a gallon of end product. But since this is 30 gallons and we've already been evaporating for about an hour, we're gonna get, you know, let's see here. We're gonna get in between, we'll probably get about 5, we'll probably get 10 of the 8 ounces if that's what I choose to put them in at the end here. One thing that I see that's a little irritating, I know I already talked about this, but the deck is tilted a bit, and on my ball valve, my spigot side, that's the low side. So once we get it down as far as we can, I'm gonna have to tilt it up a bit. The cool thing is this isn't hot to the touch at the top, so hot pads are not gonna be a problem. It gets, you know, collectively warmer as I go a little further down. It's burning good. This is exciting. Now, about our land, you know, we're just incredibly fortunate because this is virgin forest that we're in the middle of the woods. I mean, it takes us a half mile to get actually into where we are back here. I was almost going to say where we live. We don't live here, but where we are back in here. And it's untouched forest the entire way back. It's never been logged, so saying that you have greater chances of having maple trees, because maple trees aren't very opportunistic, which means if you log or clear cut an entire area, you're not going to have maples come back predominantly. You're going to have more aspens, ash, I think elms are opportunistic as well. You might get your conifer type trees, your evergreens, your spruce. And, you know, that's great, but it's not maples. So we're super blessed in the fact that this is literally what they call a sugar bush, where it's just a whole bunch of sugar maples. And I have, right now I've got about 40 or so taps out there. I'm going to put another 15 tomorrow. And, I mean, I haven't even scratched the surface yet. The smell of the sap boiling as well as the chimney up here is just phenomenal. The mix between that candy and hardwood smoke smell is just incredible. Absolutely incredible. We're at 4 hours now. Let's check the temperature, see where we're at. So boiling is 212 degrees Fahrenheit at sea level. We're 1,500 feet above sea level, and for every 500 feet, you decrease 1 degree. Which means that at 209 degrees is what boiling is. Fogging up my camera here. So maple syrup, well, sap turns to syrup at 7 degrees over boiling, which means with all that math, we need to be at 216 degrees at our location for it to be maple syrup. We're at 183 right now. So we still have a ways to go. It's at 4 hours, but remember we've had a lot of variables as well. I started it and I was slowly adding some as time went on. I was throwing in big chunks of ice. With the wind chill, it's below 0 right now out here, and the air temp I believe is like 20, 21 degrees, something like that. So conditions, they're not really favorable for a quick boil. Let's see how the fire's looking down here. Oh yeah, she's looking good, but I think I'm gonna move it around and throw another big log on there as well. Well, I fell asleep while evaporating, and you know, I mean, that's just a given. So it cooled down a bit, but I restocked it, and let's see what we're at now. Yeah, the other thing that doesn't help is some of the snow out here is falling into the evaporator. That's not gonna, you know, harm our end product. It just takes more time to boil and evaporate because you have all the dang snow getting into it. Okay, it looks like we're at 176, which really stinks because I think weren't we in like 180 or something prior to that? So of course we lost some. That stinks. Okay, the next thing we need to do is we go through here and pick some of the bark out and whatnot. This is the price you pay for having a good organic product. You are going to get some organic materials in there. Everything seems to be working pretty dang well. I've got the fire just rolling in there. Now yeah, she's cooking good. Trying to hop her back up to get some of our lost time, but I'm in no rush. I'm in no rush. That's what it's all about. All right, I'll check back in when we're a little closer. It's now been 8 hours since we've started it. You know, with it being this cold, this windy, with snow coming down, the initial product being frozen, it's taken a lot longer than it should have. But it's so hard to see on the camera because of all the steam. But we're now at just shy of 200 degrees. I just measured it before getting the camera out, and it's going up. We're at about an inch, which means we're at about 3 gallons left in the pan, and that's my pan down here that we're gonna finish with on inside. So, you know, I've never done this before on this evaporator. We're gonna see how this goes, and the plan is to get as much of it out as we can with it just sitting here, and then I'm gonna tip the actual pan itself. So I'll get the camera so we can actually see what's going on here, and hopefully in a safe area where it's not gonna get knocked over by these gusts that are coming in. Let's see what we got. Okay, I don't think I'm gonna want to go much fuller than that. There's still... Dang it, there's still quite a bit left in here, but this is the only big pan I have. I forgot to bring my other big pan up, and another one I just used to cook chili in, so that's not smart. Let's go get this one on the stove, and we'll figure out what to do from there. It's 12:40. What I ended up doing was putting it back into the evaporator and getting it a little bit further, and I filled it up to basically the knobs right here. And this has been boiling since 9:30, so over 3 hours now. And we're at 209, it needs to get to 216, so we still have quite a bit left. I'm not 100% certain what I should do right now, because I really would like to go to bed, but, you know, what do you do? So I could set an alarm for a couple hours to check, but you really don't want to overcook it. On propane, it's not as bad. One time, well, back in the day, Dee and I cooked it on ceramic, and when it hits that point where it becomes maple syrup, the bubbles turn like this caramel color, and I mean, if you leave it longer, it's gonna just basically, it's gonna ruin the pan, it's gonna destroy basically everything. Dee did that with the turkey fryer. He fell asleep and it burnt all of it on there. The guy that owned the land before us here, he did this before too. He fell asleep and burned a hole in the pot. So you can't fall asleep. It happens to everybody. Or if you do, you got to set an alarm to know. And looking at this, I mean, it's taking quite a long time, so I might be able to get about 2 hours of sleep in and then check on it, but I guess we'll see. A few moments later, the northern lights popped out, and I was able to capture this image above the cabin. 3 a.m. Woke back up, and we got maple syrup. Oh, it's about time. Now I can finish this off. Okay. Oh man, yeah. So you see how it kind of blows up there when I stir it? Gets really big. Okay. Let's call her good. Turn that off. Now we got our next step. Here's what the end product looks like. And I'm just going to be dumping that right into this cheesecloth, or this filter I should say. And that filters out any junk that's left over, bark, really anything. And I'm putting it in this big glass serving pot, like a pitcher, and that's just going to make life a lot easier when I transfer it into these individual packages. And then guys, we're done with our first batch. So all that work today was for this beautiful amber colored nectar from the maple trees. Okay. Now it's time to get them where they need to be, and we can go back to bed. You can see how runny it is when it's hot like this. If we waited for it to cool down, you know how sticky that gets. So that's why we want to do this while it's still nice and hot. On these guys, I only go right to the neck. That sealer, that seals it right down. And there we go. Started with 30-some gallons, about 30 gallons of sap, and we ended with 72 ounces of syrup. I'm going back to bed now. Good start to the season.
The next day we were met with some problems. The snow was beginning to melt and the trailer was digging into the 3-foot base. We later figured out to just put the collection tub on the ATV. It really wasn't rocket science. I put the frozen sap in the preheat pan so it wouldn't cool down the big pan too much. I have it, it's hard to see because of the steam, but I have it dripping. Now it's all fogged up. You can see it there now, just a slight drip so it doesn't overflow the pan and keeps this boiling while this is emptying. And just feeling it, it's warm, it's you know, not boiling, but there's some warmth to it. We decided to finish the sap on the turkey fryer. It went much faster. We also got a new vacuum pressure filter. This made life so much easier and filtered the maple syrup into liquid gold. Altogether, it was a successful season, harvesting and cooking about 8 gallons.